is NDTV and you are watching NDTV Prime.
We've waited for this for quite some time now and it's finally happened. The Made in India BMW bikes are here and we've got a lot of anticipation and excitement building around that launch. It's a price announcement, of course, that's happened today as well, but it goes beyond that because it truly marks the beginning of the Motorrad journey here in the country. To speak about that with me, Mr. Dimitris Raptis, who of course heads the region and looking very excited and happy today. So welcome, Dimitris.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Good to see you again and congratulations. I mean,
Thank you so much.
This is the big day, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big day for us. Definitely, we're waiting for a long time to launch the 310Rs here in India. And we're very happy so far with the demand we have from the customers. So I'm looking forward of really start delivering the first units to customers.
What's the big anticipation? And firstly, do you expect, you know, the GS or the R, which one do you expect is going to have more traction?
I would say our initial thinking was split in half for both models, but it seems that there's slight more positive trend for the GS.
Yeah. That's what we've been hearing as well. That's why I wanted to ask you, because a lot of people have been asking questions about when it's coming, and the queries around the GS, I suppose, have been a little bit higher. But GS, in any case, as a brand, you know what it represents. In many ways, it stands for Motorrad, isn't it?
Yeah, I think GS is no secret. It's one of our most successful model lines, and it has been very close connected to the BMW brand, BMW Motorrad. But definitely we're very strong also in other segments. So for us, we focus on every segment, and also for us, the 310s, I would say it's a new segment that is addressing to new customers, and this is what it makes us feel more excited that we will be able to talk to different customer group, especially here in India.
All right. Now, from the time you officially stepped into the market last year, and really officially in that sense, we started to see the dealerships, we started to see some of the other bikes, of course, getting launched. The Auto Expo was another big outing for the brand. And now we come to the main event in that sense. But before this launch today, what do you think have you been able to achieve in terms of both the brand's awareness getting out and also the acceptance for some of the bigger bikes?
First of all, our target was clear in India from the start. We wanted to make a proper start and not a fast one. So that's why we started with our CBU bikes in order to start setting up our network. Now I believe in this year we have a quite extensive network for the volume we are looking to this year. And yeah, I think now we can really officially kick off the business in India.
So I have to ask you the cliched question, what is the volume you're looking at in the first year?
I would say 2018, the volume is more natural. We are going after the demand, and we'll see how the 310s, of course, will perform. So far, I'm very happy with the demand. I'm very optimistic. Definitely, we have to revise our volume next year, but I cannot tell you any numbers at this point.
That's fair, but the reason I ask that is because the demand that you're talking about is a pent-up demand, right? I mean, not only for BMW as a brand, but of course for these bikes in particular, the 310s, all of us have talked about it now for quite some time, so people know it's coming. They got a chance to see it at the Auto Expo as well, and at some of the other events. So do you expect that, especially right now that you've finally opened the floodgates, that number is going to be a huge pressure for you? The initial bookings and the initial demand?
I think my personal belief is that will not be able to cover all the demand in the first months, and that's why I want to see how things will develop and what the target will be for 2019. I cannot tell you a number, but definitely I see that the demand will be higher than we expect. That's my feeling.
Yeah, that's my feeling too, I think, because of just the kind of feedback we pick up as well from the market. Now, production-wise, how has the plan been worked out with TVS? Because, of course, they have their own production as well, but clearly you had a roadmap in place before you actually announced the prices today. So are you worried about production having pressure as well, or has that been already phased out in a complete sort of sorted way?
First of all, I think on production level, we're at a very good point with our cooperation partner TVS. All things are running very well. So production-wise, I don't think we'll face any issues. Of course, India is a part of the worldwide organization, and the production capacities we have to be distributed worldwide. But definitely, I think India will have the lion's share in this production.
I'm happy to hear that. I'm sure people will be happy to hear that too. But considering the bike has been launched in other markets, for some time now, it's also got established in those markets now. Are you happy with the kind of demand you're getting from those markets? And again, how does that work into, despite the fact that you said India has the lion's share of the production, how does that work into the export plan?
I think it works very well. I think we have a good point. Definitely there are discrepancies in one market or the other, but in general the demand is still going very strongly in most of the markets. So we're very happy with the performance of the bike. And as I said, it's not only the sales volume, it's also that it opens a new customer group for us. And this is the most interesting thing for BMW Motorrad.
Now you're responsible for several regions. So is there one particular area outside of India where you see a very strong fit, given the fact that you're getting a new customer base?
In general, we see great demand in all of my markets. I would say in big numbers, one of the most important markets is China, definitely Thailand, and I would say also in Japan there is great interest for the motorcycle. So in general, I'm very happy. But when we discussed before about the share between GS and R, that is different from market to market. Some markets are more street-oriented, some more GS. So we see differences between the markets.
You mentioned something, like I said, that kind of stayed with me. And while I understand why you said it, of course it instantly, raises a few questions, where you mentioned about how 125cc to 500cc is where, of course, the big pull and the big demand is, not just in India, but in other places, but especially in India. With the new products, you sit right in the middle of that. And so I understand you get to, and given the pricing you've offered, you do get to address a fairly large sort of part of that. But given that you said 125 and not 200 or not 250, what do we expect between 125 and 310?
I think, as I said in my speech, the big motorcycle segment above 500 is more or less stable. We don't see in the future it will grow significantly. It will stay stable more or less. And we see big growth in this segment, 125 to 500. Definitely the 310 is the right category for us to launch a product in this new segment because it's closer to our big bikes. Already the 310R, 310GS, you can find many similarities with our bigger bikes. So for the moment we're focused on that. Of course there are ideas, either higher or lower out of this range, but we don't have specific plans yet. We're open to ideas, we're open to discussions, but there's no concrete decision yet.
The reason I asked that question is because it goes back to exactly what you just said, where the 310s relate very much to your existing range in many obvious ways, and then there are certain things about them that are new. Once that gets established, do you think it'll be easier to transition lower if you were to go lower? Because the same thing, then the lower bike would relate to the 310.
Let's see, there are so many categories in our motorcycle business that maybe there are also other segments in between the 300 and the bigger bikes. So for the moment we have no decision. So definitely a 125 bike would be addressing to even bigger group of customers, but for the moment we have no specific plans.
All right, for the moment, of course, we focus on how the 310 is received, exactly. Both the GS and the R, and wish you all the best.
Thank you.
I don't think you need it, but all the best, just the same.
Always, we are not looking into the Indian market with arrogance. We know that it's a competitive environment and we need to perform always our best in order to be successful. So it's not a walk in the park, we know that, and the team knows that here, so we'll do our best.
All right, and great to see you as always.
Thank you, as always.
All the best,
yeah.
Thank you.
Nice seeing you.